All right, welcome everybody to the Phys Ed Superhero Training Camp. I don't know about you guys, but I am super excited to be here. I think the only better thing would be to be in San Luis Obispo in person right now. How you guys doing today?
Rocking and rolling, ready to go.
All right, so this session is just going to be like a random mix of some of our favorite activities, resources, tools, tips. So that's kind of where we came up with the name to also fit the theme of this year's conference. So let's take it away, Brandon.
All right, so we decided that to get started, we're going to get moving. So right now we want to make sure you're in a safe space, make sure your glass of coffee or your mug of coffee is not in a way that you're going to hit it. Make sure you're in a safe place to move, okay? And be respectful. Maybe there's somebody near you that wants to join in, so invite them so they don't feel left out, or just make sure you're being respectful of the people around you, okay? And in the words of Ben Perillo, let's get active. And if you're in sweat trophies during this, you are really moving hard. All right, so this is called X or Flex. And the way this works is if you like the topic or the thing that I'm saying, you're going to flex. So that's a yes. If you're like, not so sure, you're not thinking that that's what you want to do, you're going to make an X, right? So I'm going to trust that Nick and Mike are going to be our participants, and I'm hoping that you join us wherever you are, okay? So if you like the thing I say, I want you to flex. If you don't like the thing I say, I want you to X. And this is a great activity you can do with your students. You can modify it in so many different ways. You can add exercises to it, but for this version, we're just going to X or flex. Are you ready? So Mike and Nick, you ready?
We got this.
There. Here we go. All right, running a marathon. Is that a flex or is that an X? Do you want to run a marathon or no?
Sometime in my life, but right now it's no.
All right, respect, truth. I got that. All right, what about teaching virtually? Teaching virtually, is that a flex or is that an X? Are we, we're a little exhausted, a little fatigued. All right, but we do it for our kids because we're superheroes. But stand-up paddleboarding, is that an X or a flex?
Yes, please.
And I would love to see you both flexing on a stand-up paddleboard, somewhere tropical, somewhere nice, like California, that would be nice. Lifting weights, you into lifting weights? All right.
As much as I should.
That was a slow flex.
A little extra flex there, I noticed that.
Yeah, ooh, okay, nice. Yes, lifting weights. What about you? Extra flex, skydiving, falling from the sky.
You betcha. Come on, Mike.
With a parachute.
Are we going to do this together?
I'll be nervous. We can hold hands.
15, 20 years ago, it would have been a much quicker flex for me. Now it's like
that whole risk reward is, a lot. You're a little more aware. All right, singing karaoke. Who's gonna take up the lyrics and the music? Oh, okay.
I'm a yes. Right. Anyone who will be joining me would definitely be a no after they hear me sing. No. Just throwing that out there. You.
Now, real quick, and you out there can totally write us and tell us what song too. What song would it be? What song would be the first or the last that you go up for?
I'm gonna go Eminem. One of his jams.
Oh, so, wow.
Yeah,
okay,
man.
so next time you see Nick at a conference, bring him out. What about you, Mike?
I like to cheat and go with crowd pleasers. I can get everyone in the establishment joining me. So like a Sweet Caroline or Don't Stop Believing by Journey. I like to hit those high notes, you know?
I'm going to make sure you go after me then, because I'm totally going very traumatic, very feeling like The Greatest Showman, like, I'm not afraid, something like that, something very like, we're going to feel it, but we're all going to have this moment together. All right, going to Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras, we have conferences coming up in Louisiana, coming up soon. Mardi Gras, oh yeah, get the beads ready. All right, beignets, hot yoga. Oh, have you done hot yoga yet?
Never done it, but I love yoga.
Okay,
same here.
Beautiful, great for the mind, great for the body. Going to the opera. Would you like to go to the opera? No, okay, well, I will. I'll take the tickets and I'll bring my wife there. I would really love a night at the opera.
Love Broadway, opera not so much.
Okay, respect, truth. And surprise parties. Do you want to know about the party you're having, or do you want to be surprised? Oh, okay, a mixed bag there.
Surprise parties for other people, I'm all about. For myself,
yes, and you know what? I love this activity to see those different reactions, because Mike would be so fun to surprise, and Nick would do such a great job surprising him that,
there you go.
It's a great way to talk about the dynamics of your class, what kind of person you are, and how no matter who you are and what you like, some things we're going to find commonalities with each other, and some things we're going to be a little different, and we can celebrate those differences and celebrate those commonalities. All right, that was X or Flex.
Thank you, Brandon. So really quick introductions from each of us. So my name is Nick Kline. I'm from Cortland, New York. That's my Twitter handle. And if you need to email me, that's how you get a hold of me. I work part-time here. I'm an adjunct at SUNY Cortland, and also started my company called Be the Hype, which is a consulting company. About you, Mike?
Yes, indeed. I am Mike Martinez. I am a middle school phys ed teacher in New York City, now living in New Jersey. Just recently bought a house, moved out to the birds, living that Jersey life across the bridge. Same with Nick, my Twitter handle, my email address. Love interacting with folks and keeping this PE conversation going. So please don't hesitate to reach out either on Twitter or by email if you have any questions about the session or just want to talk about PE in general.
Nice. And I'm Brandon Herwick. I actually met Mike through teaching in the city at Brooklyn Dreams, thus Brooklyn Dreamer on Twitter. And then Nick met Mike as well at a school in the city. So very exciting.
Here
there.
We are today.
That's right. See, connections, got to reach out. The power of yes, just the power of saying, hey, what do you think about this? Also, totally welcome everyone to interact. Let's connect on Twitter, and feel free to send any questions or suggestions on any of the activities we're doing today to my email. Also, kind of a fringe thing about myself is that I'm a practicing bonsai student. So any bonsai people out there, I always like to say it because usually people go, really? But sometimes people go, yes. And I want everyone to feel seen. So if you love nature, reach out for that as well.
All right, let's roll. It's time to be a hero. So let's get into it. The hero is going to represent an acronym. So for ACE, our term is going to be harness. And each of us is going to tell something that relates to us in terms of harnessing what we believe, harnessing our passion and purpose as it relates to me. And what I want to kind of instill in each of you is you have the opportunity every time you're in front of students to make a difference. And we can go through the motions and roll out the balls and just kind of like be okay, or we can kind of raise our game, raise the level, raise our energy, raise our enthusiasm. And I think that's going to be even more important the fall when some of us are returning to school for the first time face-to-face in a long time. And we really need to capitalize on that opportunity and share the passion that we have for physical education and make students understand the purpose behind being lifelong movers and the importance of physical literacy.
So when we talk about passion and purpose, I feel like most of us, if not all of us, are in the same, some semblance of the same boat here, where we're in person, maybe spend some time teaching virtually, maybe a hybrid model. If you're anything like me, you are looking forward to using this summer to rejuvenate, for some relaxation, but also guessing by the fact that you're here, also for some reflection as well, right? Looking back on the year that was, the good, the bad, lots and lots of ugly, right? And trying to figure out what worked well in the virtual setting that we can kind of bring with us as the world gets a little bit closer to normal. Just a few of those examples, things that I'm actually looking forward to, that I'm so thankful that I learned more about over this last year of teaching virtually. Google Classroom being one of them. Now that I know that even kindergartners know how to get logged on, point, click on their little icons, I know for sure I'm never printing another paper assignment, paper assessment ever again. I can keep it all in one neat, tidy place that does my grading for me. And that's going to be a huge, huge time saver. And also, I'm sure if you're one of those who like to give homework journals, things of that nature, I'll never have to run into that situation where you're running down the stairs, a kid's running up the stairs. Hey, Miss So-and-so, do you have an extra one of those assignments? You don't have to worry about running to the empty folder on your desk. Nope, it's all online now in a neat and tidy place for you. Also, lots of different apps or add-ons that I've learned about this year. Things like Flipgrid, which we'll touch upon a little bit later in this presentation, or Edpuzzle. If you're not familiar with Edpuzzle, it's a really neat site that allows you to take just about any YouTube video, whether it's previously created or made on your own, and insert multiple choice questions into it as a built-in assessment. You can take literally any topic in the world. Kids love watching videos. I know my son's on YouTube more than I would like to admit, but now you can make it an assessment tool and throw some multiple choice questions in there. things like Pear Deck, which is also a free add-on in your Google Suite, which was allowing me as a middle school teacher to really drive home cognitive concepts in PE, which I can easily see as a way to not take time away from the movement aspect of being in the gym, but still drive home those behind the scenes concepts. Have students moving or drawing on a slide how they would pass to an open area, or where they would move on defense to close a passing lane. Rather than stop a game or a movement session, I can still assess that by each individual student online as a homework assignment, an online assessment. So lots and lots of different ways to use what worked this year on Zoom or at home in the classroom next year. So definitely want to push that reflective piece, which again, obviously, if you're here at this conference, you're already trying to improve your practice moving forward. Definitely lean into those tools from this year, even when we're moving in person.
And I like what you said about maximizing the movement aspect. And I think a lot of times teachers were afraid or hesitant to try a technology or to incorporate more assessment because they were worried that it was going to distract from the MVPA. And now you can, get creative and still maximize the movement experience, but also provide all these other things that you just mentioned.
And to flip that on its head too, not even from the teacher piece, but from the student piece, right? They're only there for 45 minutes. They want to move, they want to play. They don't want to write down the answer to a question. But if you give it to them as an online homework assignment that doesn't involve writing and pencils and pens, I think you're more likely to get buy-in from your students as well.
From a mindset kind of piece as well, before we go into this, also mentioning it as we start going to conferences and as we start talking to our students coming up into the new school year, that question of what did you learn from the pandemic? Instead of, a lot of times we like to commiserate and, oh, that was so tough. And we talk about all the things we missed out on or we didn't get to do by saying, what did you learn? What did you gain? Then it kind of turns it into a growth experience instead of just kind of some terrible, it was bad. It continues to, we still feel the effects, but you kind of flip it. And you know what? A lot of times we put a lot too much on our shoulders and we make it way too difficult than it needs to be. We need to continue to reach out to each other. We need to continue to grow, but we also need to take the steps to reflect on what makes us us, what makes us really passionate, like Nick was talking about as a teacher, and then how do we incorporate that to best help our students not only find their passion, but also bring it into our class as well. So we put keep it simple on here. A lot of times I know within my own teaching, you start getting into the stratosphere of all these ideas, but we always have to bring it down and say, what am I really trying to get at? Okay, and how do I bring everyone into the process of doing it? I put in this video that I was able to talk to Ben Perillo, Coach Perillo on Twitter, and Amy Gibson, I think Amy Gibson on Twitter as well. And they just talk about some of their best practices on having handshakes with students. I know we a lot of us have talked about that before, but just having conversations and how do we get to know our students so that we can find the best, just right entry point for all of them to feel like they belong, they are welcome, and that class was built for them. So this is me and us kind of giving you permission to take a deep breath, not make it so hard on yourself, and know that everything you need, you already have. You just kind of have to reflect on it and just reflect that positivity in your students and make them stakeholders, ask them questions and get to know them so that they can be feel empowered in your class as well.
So to add on to that too, like Mike threw out a bunch of apps, add-ons, and tech tools and tips. And if that was your first time hearing of all of those, like don't try to learn all of them after this presentation is done. Pick one or two, and then slowly maybe add the others, because otherwise you're going to become overwhelmed and then it will not be simple for you. All right, we're moving on to E, which is engage. So how are we going to engage our students, engage with each other? One of my favorite activities is from the Tabata interval station, which is part of the creative mode fitness module on open. I love this for a lot of reasons. One is it can engage and involve a lot of students all at one time. Two is you can make it personalized so that either you, the teacher, are coming up with movements or exercises or activities, or allowing students to do that. So I have to give a shout out to my buddy Doug Halberg, because this was one that we saw him using, and he definitely is an all-star teacher, so I'm not surprised. So the way that it's written on open, we have red as something that's aerobic, orange that's something that is muscular strength, yellow might be skill related, and then that pattern repeats. But maybe we're going to use equipment. So maybe instead of doing jumping jacks, we're jumping back and forth over that beanbag. And then when we move up to orange, maybe we're practicing some tossing and catching, or doing some plank balances with that beanbag, because I don't think many of us know what we're to expect in the fall. What equipment will be available, how much social distancing, physical distancing we'll need to maintain, how much equipment we'll be able to use, and whether or not that will be shared, because there is still some uncertainty. So with that, they can maintain that beanbag with them, and that way it's not being shared and does not need to be sanitized or disinfected and whatnot. Also, there are these creative mode options. So like I said, where students can create their own journey through this Tabata interval station routine, and add the exercise or movement or skills that they want to reinforce. So here's some examples. Maybe they're a fan of jumping lunges. Maybe they're going to do some shoulder taps. Maybe they're a fan of yoga, like I said I was, and they're going to make a tree pose when they're at yellow to practice those balance skills. Or maybe we're going to incorporate some sports related skills. So if we have basketballs and want to use this creative mode fitness interval style lesson to reinforce basketball skills, red could be dribbling laps. And then we only have 1/6 of the students dribbling laps. So if physical distancing is a thing, they can maintain that distance as they're moving around. Then throw in something muscular in nature. So maybe they're going to hold a ball plank on that ball. And then yellow, maybe foul shots or layups or shots against a wall, and then so on. What do you guys think?
I really want to push this for slightly older children. My middle schoolers love the integration of sports skills with the fitness. Even with the 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off nature of Tabata, my kids pre-pandemic would get pretty tuckered out around minute 3 or 4. But if it's run in place red, then right-handed dribble orange, then curl ups yellow, then left-handed dribble green. They know that every 20 seconds or every 30 seconds, they have a skill that they're excited to get to coming up. So you're reinforcing the skill that was taught the day before or the week before, while still getting fitness in as well.
I got to see Doug do this activity with a large group of teachers, and I was really amazed how simple it was, but how effective it was. And everyone was active. Everyone was having a great time. Everyone was learning. And if we go to the Shape America grade level outcomes, in elementary school, it's kind of our job to give them the exercises and how the students start to realize which exercise is associated with which health-related fitness component. But then, like Mike's saying, those middle school grade level outcomes, that's where they need to know the health-related fitness components. And that's where you can empower them by saying, hey, why don't you create your own for each of these? And then high school, this could just be excellent as well. It just kind of to give it to them, and then maybe they can create one. This could go into the sports model where they create this as a warm-up or as a workout for another team. So many applications of this activity. And Nick, I just want to mention, we're going to give them all these slides, right? Everyone will have these slides, and then they can go back and click on the images, and it'll take them to where they can find the resources, right?
Great reminder. Yeah. So we'll give you at the very end of this presentation, we'll give you a bit.ly link to this presentation. So like Brandon just mentioned, everything, all the graphics, icons, images will link you to either the lesson activity plan or the website or the YouTube link, so you can access like a full description.
Just one more real quick plug before we get to this next activity. I actually, Brandon, to your point, when I taught high school, we use that as our culminating fitness unit activity, where the high school students had to create the Tabata warm-up for the middle school students who were 2 floors down from us. And with a little coordination, you could do like a PE teacher for a day thing where they can actually come teach what they've created. But by putting that application and showing that they know how to include all the fitness components or even the skill-related components, if you're working on sports skills, it shows a higher level of understanding because they actually created it themselves.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
So jumping into our next activity here, and Nick, if you can click play on that video, it should be playing silently while I explain it. This is one of my favorite activities. Speaking of things you can do in large groups with huge numbers of kids, it's called Upside Down. I love this because I feel like it sneaks in a ton of cardio where if you can see the look on these kids' faces, they're laughing, they're smiling, having a great time doing it. And if you do it long enough, they're going to be sweating their brains out as well. Now, before we get deep into it, I understand this is not ideal. This is not best practice, but it is showing that this activity can still be done and get the desired results while jam-packed with 20 kids in half of a cafeteria. Simple activity. All you need is 6 dome-shaped cones per group or per team, and 1 6-sided die. They roll the dice, and whichever number they roll, they're going to flip that cone upside down. So the cone right in front of them is numbered 1. The one furthest away is numbered 6. 2, 3, 4, and 5 are in between. So if I roll a 3, I'm going to run out. I'm going to flip 3 upside down, come back, give my partner a high five. He or she is going to roll next. Our goal is to get all 6 cones upside down. However, there's a catch. If I roll a 3, I high five Brandon, then he rolls a 3. He has to go back to that cone and turn it back right side up. So we're constantly going back and forth, upside down, right side up, right upside down, right side up, until you can get all 6 cones upside down. There's tremendous celebration, lots of sweat all over the place, and it's again a great way, especially when we're coming back to in-person environments where kids might be lacking in the cardio department after a year of not having traditional PE. A great way to sneak in some high-level cardio for your kids of pretty much any age. I would say from grades 2 to 3 all the way up to high schoolers.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite
tips or tricks in this game.
Yeah, I just have to reinforce that this is one of my favorite activities as well. It's part of Plug and Play, which I love all the Plug and Play activities. So if you have not checked out Plug and Play, they reinforce the components of health-related fitness in like an instant activity style format. This activity does not have to just be cardio in nature. I think it was designed to have the cones actually 20 meters apart to practice that pacer style test. But you can put them as close or far away as you want, depending on the age and level of your students. Younger students, maybe it's going to turn into a locomotor practice. So instead of running, they're going to practice skipping or galloping. Middle school students, maybe you want to reinforce some sport-related skills. So you're going to put a basketball in their hand or a soccer ball in their feet, and they're going to dribble and then exchange the ball instead of high-fiving each other when they get done. So the possibilities and potential is endless.
With enough space and enough cones for those groups. Sorry, Brandon. We've done basketball dribbling. We've done soccer dribbling. If you're in a gym, we've done floor hockey, stick handling, coming down, turning your cone over and stick handling back. So I love the work smarter, not harder aspect of it. Once I teach the kids the game in August, September, then all I have to do is put any piece of equipment in their hands and say, okay, we're playing upside down hockey style. And they know the rules, they know the game, we can jump right into it and save talk time and get more activity time. Sorry, Brandon.
No, I think that's fantastic. And I think one of those low-key, spectacular phys ed secrets that I always need to remind myself, and maybe I saw Jim DeLine do the first time, was teaching him levels, right? So especially for some of your younger students, or when you're doing this for the first time, the first progression is you're just walking. And then it's always written up and open too, down and below it at the grade level progressions. But there's so many different progressions and levels you can do. Level 1, lots of fun. Level 2, fun for me and you. Level 3, fun for you and you and you and you and me, right? So when you build that progression, when you build that scaffolding, then this game can really turn into something big. Another low-key spectacular phys ed secret, right? If you took the time, maybe on a planning period, and you wrote down different exercises, different locomotor skills, different trivia facts, different things underneath the cone, every time they flip over the cone, they need to use their communication skills, call back to the team, yo, we all got to jump while this is going on, and then that, or food groups, and then we got to name that before they come back. So that's just another extension. So many things you can do with this activity.
Love it. Oh, if I can click, there we go.
Which is a beautiful segue, which brings us to food trivia. And I was actually thinking about the food groups when we were doing that activity, because this would be a perfect thing to play an active version of food trivia. Food trivia is an activity that came from Nutrition from the Heart, from Andrea Hart, who has a really wonderful website with a lot of really great resources to talk about nutrition with your students in lower, upper elementary. And then I think some of the activities you could totally modify for the upper levels as well, middle school and high school. What I really like about this activity is that It's a really fun way for the students to interact. And like Mike was talking about, because a lot of our students have so much practice now with Google Slides, they have the technology competence to be able to do this. So let's click the video. Andrea is going to take a minute or two to kind of talk us through how this works.
Activity is built in a Google slide deck. When you click on the link, it will prompt you to make a copy of the file in your Google Drive. This keeps the original file safe and clean for future downloads.
Can you pause for 1 sec, Nick?
Words that you'll use.
Also, low-key spectacular tech hack that I didn't realize. If you want to make any Google slide, they prompt a copy, they have to make a copy. You just take the last word edit out of it when you share it, and you write the word copy, and then the students have to make a copy in order to share. So that's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how she did it. So you'll see at the end of that, it'll say copy, and that's how she's done that.
To play are on slides 2 and 3. Slide 2 has the clues, and slide 3 has the answers. To play, students will choose a food group category and point value. Click the point value and hit delete to uncover the category clue. Let's choose dairy for 400. Next, read the clue and give students time to give their answer. This clue says, get your calcium in traditional or Greek versions. Mix me with granola and fruit for breakfast. To check answers, go to slide 3, click the same point value, and delete to uncover the answer. Yogurt is the answer that matches the clue. As you play the game, point cards will disappear. It's easy to replace point cards when the game is over and all clues and answers are uncovered. Go to slide 4, drag and select all the point cards, then copy your selection. Go back to slide 2 and paste the point cards in place, and then repeat on slide 3. Now you're ready to play again. I've provided a copy of the clues and answers on slides 5 and 6 for easy viewing and printing. To help you create custom trivia time boards, I've included 2 DIY slide decks as templates. The first file link is provided for you to create a new version of food group trivia time with the food group categories in place. The second file link will give you a DIY trivia board with categories that you can edit.
So I wanted to include that because the extension of the project I did with my students is we did the food trivia, and then I have a all virtual class in a 5th grade class, and always looking for new things for them to do to be able to communicate with each other because they feel so isolated. So we went into small groups into breakout rooms, and they were able to create their own categories, and then they were able to take that trivia game and give it to another group. Some of the topics were hilarious. Some of the topics were very curious. We had like an entire, and I can't give them a lot of freedom. One was like an old restaurant one was like a teachers in the school. And hopefully my art teacher doesn't hear this, but one of them, the 500-point question for teachers was, this teacher says she's old all the time, but she's actually the opposite. She's really young. She teaches art. And then it was of course our art teacher. So, but two things, and I want to hear your thoughts on this as well. One, I encourage the students, you have to give them a little time on how to figure it out, but I encourage the students that even if they didn't know the answer, that's almost better because they've just learned something new. Okay, so if they got it wrong, really the emphasis is now learn the answer so that next time you play it or next time you encounter that information, you know it. The second one is when I ask them to make random categories, we're not really focusing on nutrition anymore. That's more on the social aspect of I'm getting to know them, they're getting to know each other. And it was one of those moments where, as Jim DeLine says, sweating out of my eyeballs. Okay, the students are taking turns saying, hey, Nick, what category do you want? And then he goes, oh, 100. And then they read it to them, and then it's that interaction. And it's the things that we want to see every day between the people we interact with, and we're fostering that and we're encouraging that in our classes with an activity like this.
Yeah, so I think nutrition, health, like in general, the elementary level is often not a major focus because there are so many other things. Classroom teachers have their plates full. As physical education teachers, we want to obviously focus on the movement and the physical literacy. And this doesn't have to be just like a lesson in and of itself, like you did virtually. It could be something as simple as when kids are lining up, divide the class into 2 lines, and then just throw out some random questions, because like you said, like those little anecdotes, those little bits of knowledge, like they will remember. So yeah, whatever that is about yogurt, like granola, this or that, that is something that sticks with them, and they can like reflect on that later on in the day.
I can't help but thinking while watching this, and you two guys were kind enough to join one of my virtual classes earlier this year and played a Kahoot style trivia game, is that I love teaching middle school right now because I feel like it's the perfect mix between, the little ones, the babies, and the big ones who act like babies. And one commonality that I found is that they all love these trivia style games. We spent a whole chunk of time, a whole unit teaching nutrition this year. And to your point, Nick, this is something that, again, I can just only speak from my own experience. I know is important, but never really found the right way to integrate it. I didn't want to take time away from fun, games, moving, to say, okay, let's talk about food. Who wants to talk about vegetables real quick? But now these are easy ways to drive these concepts home in a way that's fun for kids, that's meaningful. And to your point, Brandon, getting the question right is awesome. You get the points. But getting it incorrect just taught you a lesson. So who's the real winner now? Am I right?
Absolutely.
So I can't speak highly enough about these Jeopardy trivia-ish style games, especially for driving home some food group knowledge.
And the kids were super kind. They go, well, you didn't get the right answer, but you were in the right vicinity of fruit, so I'll give you half a point. Or you're going to get 2, I'll give you 1. So, and you know what, last thing, because you made me think of it as well, is a lot of times I know I struggle sometimes teaching about food because the students, especially in elementary school, don't have a lot of choice. And sometimes in middle school and high school, they don't have a choice over the food they're eating either. And a lot of the units I've gone to is how bad soda is for you, which it is, but how bad this is for you or how bad that is for you. But this is all about the positive of food. Here are the benefits of these foods and what they give you, instead of what happens a lot is we're hopping on the negatives and what to stay away from. This is what to seek out.
Love it. All right, moving on to R, which is resources. So we're going to each kind of pick a resource that we think you should know about. I'll go first. My question to you is, are you one of the 120,000 registered users for this resource called Open? Some of the activities we already shared earlier today have come from Open. I take for granted that everyone has heard of Open by now, but I'm sure there are some people watching this presentation right now that may be hearing of this term, this word, this resource for the first time. So if that is you, you got to get on, you got to get registered. It is completely free. Can't say that enough. It is rigorous in nature, so everything's aligned with the national standards and grade level outcomes. And the feature that I love the most about Open is it's customizable. So you can get all of the documents, tools, planning, station cards, task cards, cue cards, assessments, everything in Microsoft Word format or a Google Slide version format. And you can make them fit your style, the way that your students learn and respond the best. So this is a really quick screenshot of the homepage of Open. So if you're going there for the first time, you go to login for free. And under that icon, there's a register now. You fill out a very brief form, create a username and password, and boom, it's yours. Professional development, there's a teacher learning school. So you can take, they're not webinars. Sometimes I call them webinars, but that's really like an inaccurate term because they're courses where you watch videos, tutorials, and then you answer some questions. And then after that, you're provided with a certificate of completion. Curriculum resources, so that's where all like the fun stuff lies. So that's everything from the physical education to physical activity to best practices, lots and lots of stuff under curriculum resources. Get in and explore. Some quick links there at the top and quick links at the bottom. Anything I missed, boys?
Just to chime in real quick on that, if you're not new to Open, maybe you've been a registered member for years and years but haven't been on recently, I cannot say enough how much new, phenomenal content has been added. It's probably, I don't even know if quadrupled is big enough in size to explain how much more there is on there now. Everything's broken down by grade, so pretty easy to find what you're looking for. And then once you're in your grades, by individual module or unit. So a huge, huge, huge resource that costs you absolutely nothing to enjoy.
Hey, and if you need any help, if you're looking for any suggestions, totally reach out to us. We're always open, and we welcome the opportunity to help guide you through. It can be overwhelming. There's a lot going on there, but taking some time aside and just kind of digging through, especially starting maybe at the curriculum resources and looking through some of those, or the PE Now, that's a really good place to start. And then from there, you just branch out using the academic language cards, using the assessments. Just there's so much. So reach out and tell a friend.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. Tell a friend. Like I mentioned, the physical activity piece. So if you know the activity leaders that do the before or after school, or you work with the adults at supervised recess, or you can advocate with your classroom teachers to encourage them to get on and check out the active classroom piece. It's not just a tool for physical education.
I mentioned a few resources earlier that, and I guess to backtrack and preface this, Nick and Brendan can attest to this. It took me about an hour and 45 minutes to figure out how to get a video from my phone onto this Google slide. I am a technological bozo, an absolute dunce, but I've learned a lot of great resources by necessity this year. And one of my absolute faves has been Flipgrid. Again, I feel like the more I talk about how awful I am at my job. But I feel like as a teacher, I have not accurately and adequately assessed each individual student on each individual skill the way that maybe I feel like I should be doing, every unit, every year, year in and year out. I almost found it was easier to assess some of the skill. Like the one unit that worked really, really well, believe it or not, virtually, was teaching the forehand strike in racket sports. We had kids with dustpans or small frying pans, rolled up balls of socks, working on their arm coming back in preparation, their contact about waist high, finishing with that low to high movement, and doing it on this, again, free app called Flipgrid, where they can share, they can take the video, which they all know how to do on their phones, and then upload them to Flipgrid. I can watch them on my own. They had the privacy of not having to perform these skills in front of 30 other kids where they might feel a little self-conscious, especially that middle school area. It worked great for our cup stacking unit, for our juggling unit. And I finally felt like I was doing a fantastic job of seeing all 30 of my kids. I can rewind the video, watch it again, look for certain cues on my rubric. It's definitely something that, again, I can assign as a homework assignment. So if I don't want to give a big end of unit assessment, again, in class, hey class, your assignment tonight is to record a 90-second video on Flipgrid, doing your insert skill here. They can do it indoors, outdoors, anywhere where it's safe for them to perform that skill, and they can upload it privately where it's just between you and them. You can give them feedback on it. My kids put emojis over their faces so you don't have to see them on screen. Lots of different ways they can play around with it though, make it personal, make it their own, and have fun doing it. I just think it makes them an additional owner or investor in their learning process.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to add really quick, and then I'll segue into YouTube, is technology literacy and just general welfare of being online is something that I'm becoming more aware of, that I need to talk with my students. We did Flipgrid as well, and there's a feature that you can let everyone see the videos, and then you can let everyone comment on the videos, and I don't think they can rate it, but they can like the videos, or you can close that out and it's private. And some of the kids actually requested that, like, is anyone going to see it? No, just me. I just want to, assess. I want to see. And then they were much more comfortable with that. Where some of the kids were like, is this going on YouTube? For Flipgrid. So learning that, and even, I started to think about all the things I want to talk about. Like, hey, when you're about to hit record, make sure that if somebody's behind you, you ask permission to them. Hey, I'm about to record. Are you cool with being in the background of my video? Or, the different angle that you're holding the screen or things like that. Not only do you want a good frame and you want to start giving them some filmography or some tips on how to hold it landscape, but also about the responsibility that they have, that once something goes online, it really is there forever. So they want to make sure that they're being responsible, respectful, and safe when they do that.
I'll just throw out, we have about 5 minutes left. So
Okay.
The next couple of slides will.
Yeah. we just want to talk about YouTube and the same thing, having good literacy in using those resources. If you are the person that hasn't really made any resources and is like, oh, I don't know, I want to empower you in this moment to go, you can do it. Reach out to Mike, to Nick, or I. We've all had those moments where we're like, I don't know. We tried it, we liked it, and then we were able to create our own resources, because using other people's videos are really, really cool. I do it and I made videos for people to use, but when your students see you, there's something really special about that as well. And then embedding them in the slides like we've done in Google Slides is a great way to create a resource for your students. You just copy it, insert, and then go to video, and you can put YouTube links into the Google Slides. And then I wanted to mention Open has a huge resource of videos as well. They've been really doing a lot of work adding them. I think all three of us have been in a few, so check YouTube, Open Phys Ed on YouTube as well. A lot of resources there.
All right, and last but not least, Optimism. So this, speaking of the Open YouTube channel, there is a section dedicated to these amazing cheers. So we'll do one of them really quick to show you. You are incredible!
Like the Hulk.
Oh.
So if you want to see that in another video format, click on that video, and then here are a bunch of other videos, I think 16 in total. So lots of cheers, because again, maybe we're not able to give the high fives or hugs or fist bumps yet, but these cheers can be a way to show recognition, show support, show acknowledgement for anything.
And my last little spiel here, probably my biggest takeaway from this school year has been the importance and the benefit of maybe pumping the brakes a little bit and stepping back from academics or skills or your goal, and really getting into the social emotional learning part of education. I feel like phys ed is a natural, organic place for that to happen, and lots of different ways that can be done, whether it's the Believe in You video series through Varsity Brands, the empowerment journals that are teacher and student friendly. This is just kind of one quick example of a slide you'll find there that mentions the optimism, effort, success loop. And this was a real easy one to drive home to my kids, something that was very accessible for all. Just the idea that when you have a goal, something that you're chasing after, that you're excited about, the more optimistic you are about that goal, the more effort you're willing to put into it, right? The more work you're willing to put in. The more effort you put in, the greater your chance is of achieving success. And I don't care how old you are, when you have that first taste of success, that's going to jack up your optimism level and make you even more excited about putting more effort in. And that loop just keeps going around and around and around. So you could see the light bulbs go off in kids' minds as you then kind of prod them a little bit to think about something you're optimistic about. It can be school related, family related, sports related, relationship related, whatever the case may be, and see how they can apply that to their life as well. So if you're looking to infuse some more SEL into your curriculum and aren't sure how to do it, definitely check out some of these resources as well.
I think this was taken out of the journals that were
Empowerment
created.
journals, yeah.
The empowerment journals. So there is a link that we can provide to for those.
This is just a slide to remind us that education is the key to success in life, and teachers make a lasting impact in the lives of their students, even if we don't always feel it. The student on the left, on the student on the right, those are both me. And one of the big differences in taking me from the left to the right was my phys ed teacher, Mrs. Laveroni, or as Mike Morris calls her, Mrs. Love 'em all. I didn't realize what a big impact she made on my life until she came to one of my phys ed presentations, and I realized she loved to dance, and now I was presenting dance. She was strict, but also really fair. That's how the way I teach, and she had a lot of fun. So I didn't know what a big difference she made until I became a teacher. So this is the point I want to look at you and I want to say thank you. And we want to say thank you for making a difference in the lives of your students by teaching in this profession. They might not say thank you today, tomorrow, next week, or next year, but know that even if they don't know it, you're doing the right things to make and shape and influence them. So thank you for making such a difference, and hold on to that. In those moments where it seems really tough, know that you are making a difference, and it's so, so, so appreciated.
Love that. What a great way to bring some closure. We'll pause very briefly for questions. So if you have those, again, reach out to us. and let us know. And then just some final thoughts here. Open is free because it is a public service of US Games and BSN Sports. So when you have a choice, you can use those companies to purchase your equipment. That's the link that we promised. So again, bit.ly, uppercase and lowercase letters do matter. So again, bit.ly /capital EPEW21 will bring you to this presentation, all the links embedded within it. And then lastly, but not least, we are teachers helping teachers. So hopefully our enthusiasm, hopefully our energy and love that we have came across in this presentation, and we appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, hopefully we explain things well enough to get you interested, but not well enough we have to reach out to us and ask us more questions about it. So there's our personal information. Please use it early, use it often. We hope to hear from you soon.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for attending the 48th Annual Elementary Physical Education Workshop. We're glad you were here.
Please follow us on our social media platforms. EPEW can be found on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Please check out our website for links to more great sessions. Just go to epew-cp.weebly.com and click on the virtual EPEW 2021 tab at the top and scroll down.
EPEW 2021 Educators Assemble would not be possible without the support and dedication from the amazing EPEW committee. The committee has been hard at work for months preparing for this workshop. Thank you to Linda McGee, Barbara Groton, Scott Wilson, Stephanie Sandino, Julie Miller, Jessica Monlux, Kayla Ailman, Shelby Lozano, Andrea Chavez, Scott Townsend, and Cindy Chase.
Thank you for attending EPEW, where our motto is, come to learn, leave as family.